everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm bringing you my October TBR part 2. So if you haven't seen my part 1, I'll link it down below, and I spoke about all the 1-star, 3-star, 4-star reviews and some of the 5-star reviews that I gave in October. So if you'd like, I'll leave it down below so you can check that out. But I'm going to continue this video with some of my 5-star reads. So one of the first books that I read in October was Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, and I absolutely love this story. I picked it up as soon as it came out because I needed this story. And I loved it, as you can tell from my 5-star review. My 5-star rating. This is a YA fantasy novel where witches exist and witch hunters. So we follow Lou, who is a witch, and Ren, who is a witch hunter, and she has run from her coven and somehow ends up married to this witch hunter. Do I need to say more? Okay. YA, trashy, really cute romance, fantasy about witches and witch hunters. There you go. That's all you need to know. Read this book. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. The friendship dynamics were really good in here. We are thrown straight into the action. So when I first picked this up, I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I'm really confused. But once I hit the 100-page mark, I knew exactly what was going on, and we get to learn about the world and what sort of life Lou lives. I really enjoyed this story, and I didn't tab it because I was just so immersed and I read it so quickly, but I'll definitely be rereading it and tabbing it up and quoting and doing all that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to reread this story. Another book that I read that I got from the library is My Brother's Name is Jessica, and this is a YA story about a young boy whose older brother has come out as transgender. Now, I know there's been a lot of controversy about this book, and honestly I can't speak for the trans rep within this story, but I really enjoyed this story. I thought it was a really good, it was a different kind of story where we're shown the effects of someone else being transgender and how it affects the people around them. And there is some things where what was his name? Where the young child is kind of like, but you're a boy, you have a willy kind of thing. You can't be a girl. And there is some things that are kind of controversial and kind of did affect people in a bad way, which I'm not saying didn't happen. I obviously, which were kind of controversial, but if you take it in as this book is about a young boy finding out that their brother is transgender and trying to understand. This boy had a sheltered life. His parents have kind of blocked them from a lot of things, and I feel like the little boy he didn't understand what was going on. And I can't really say he's little because he's 13, but at the age of 13, I didn't know what transgender was. I didn't understand it. I wouldn't have understood it if someone in my family or someone I knew came out and said, I'm in the wrong body. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Another book that I gave 5 stars is Eliza and Her Monsters. Now, this is the first book that we read for the Backlist Readers Book Club, and to be honest, it didn't work very well because we didn't plan it. I didn't plan this book club very well. But our next book is Hunger Games, and I talk about it in my November TBR, so I'll link that down below so you can check it out and possibly join us. So, Eliza and Her Monsters follows Eliza, who is a really famous comic designer. Is that what you call it? A comic creator? Online. But no one knows who she really is. And Eliza struggles with anxiety, and she's very quiet in school, and she doesn't like being the center of attention, so she's never told anyone about her really famous comic. And a boy turns up at school who is the biggest fan, who writes fan fiction for her comic. So a friendship happens, some romance, and I really, really enjoyed it. It does hit some mental health topics, so check that out. I felt it was a really good representation of anxiety, and I feel it was really nice to see, and it, how do I put my, I can't think, I can't speak, none of the things that I want to say are just coming out. Okay, so within this story we follow a creator who struggles with her identity and people knowing who she is, and I really enjoyed it. This story shows what mental illness can do. It can pull you away from your family, it can make you feel alone and isolated, and things like that. And I really enjoyed the story, and I really enjoyed the actual comic strips that were in this story. And because Eliza's life is very online, and she has online internet best friends, which is awesome because I have a lot of internet best friends who, you know, you don't really hear about it, and it was really nice to see within this story. And we see, because her life is so online, we actually see the messages between her and her friends, which I thought was a really good element to the story. Another book that I gave 5 stars, which is also within my reading vlog that I will link if it's up. I'm not sure when it's going up. So I read The Memories We Hide by Jodie Gibson. I really enjoyed this. At the start I was kind of like, I don't know, this is just going to be a contemporary where this girl has to face her past, and I thought it was going to be that, but at around 25% I was in my vlog and I was like, I don't really know, it's kind of forgettable, blah blah. I'm not sure what I think about this. And then I sat down to read it, and I did not get up. I read it, the whole book, in one sitting. It was that amazing. It twisted so much that I was like, I got whiplash. Because, okay, so the premise of the story is our main character, Laura, she has to go home after 10 years of leaving her town after this tragedy happened within her life. She goes home to care for her mother, who has been diagnosed with cancer, and she promises her mom that she will face the past and she will come to terms with what happened in the past. So we're following her, kind of her memories coming back, and we follow, and then a kind of murder mystery kind of happens, because we don't know if this tragedy was an accident, if it was a murder. And the way it ensues is that all of these people who are connected to Laura could have something to do with this death, this tragedy. And it was so mesmerizing, it was so beautiful, and it really depicts depression and suicide and suicidal thoughts and grief in such a beautiful, lyrical way that I absolutely adored this book, and I had to give it 5 stars when I read it, because I was just so amazed at how quickly it turned and how beautiful it was written. The next book that I gave 5 stars was The Memory Thief. So this is a book where your memories are currency. We follow our main character, who is trying to save her mum. Her mum has lost all her memories, and the leader of her city is going to sell her mum's memories, and she has to join this rebel group and go on a journey to try and save her mum and defeat this evil character. I really enjoyed it. It was so good. The history of the world was described in such a beautiful way. The world building was amazing. It was such a unique story that I truly loved. I really loved the characters. I really loved the romantic interest. And it was just such a great story that I'm looking forward to reading more from this author. Another book that I read was Speak No Evil by Leanna Gardner, and oh my god, this book was absolutely amazing. So the synopsis gave nothing away. I had no idea what the story was going into it. So truth is the harbinger of hell. What if every time you told the truth, evil followed? My name is Melody Fisher. My daddy was a snake handler in Appalachia until Mama died. The years have passed, I can still hear the rattle before the strike that took her from me, and it's all my fault. Since then, I've been passed around from foster home to foster home. I didn't think anything could be as bad as losing Mama. I was wrong, but I will not speak of things people have done to me. Every time I do, worse evil follows. Now the only thing I trust is what saved me years ago, back when I would sing the snakes calm. So this is an amazing story about a young girl who has been through a hell of a lot, and she doesn't speak at all. And she feels that if she talks and tells the truth about what has happened to her, more people will die, more people will get hurt. And it's a truly inspiring story of depression and grief and speaking out and being strong and recovery from trauma. I absolutely adored this story. We follow Melody in her music therapy, and it's so inspiring. I truly adored this story, and I read it in like 2 days. I absolutely loved it. Another book that I read, which was a buddy read with Olivia's Catastrophe, and I'll link her channel down below if you haven't checked her out. We read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So this is my first Nicola Yoon story. I wasn't really sure about what was happening, but what this is about going in. I found it in my charity shop for like $1, so I was like, okay, I've seen this on Booktube. I don't know what it's about, but I'm going to take it. So I took it, and I read it, and I loved it. Obviously, it's 5 stars. We follow Natasha as she is on a mission to try and save her family from being deported back to Jamaica because her father opened his stupid ass mouth. And we follow Daniel, who is on his way to get a haircut for his interview to one of the top schools in America. These two meet, and it is so cute, so adorable. It follows these two people throughout one day. And it's Natasha's last day in America. It's the last day Daniel... it's a huge beginning in Daniel's life, and it's a huge beginning in Natasha's life this day. And we follow their journey throughout the day, where Daniel is convinced that he can make Natasha fall in love with him in a day. And we also follow certain different chapters of actual people that they meet throughout the day, which was really cool. So Natasha meets this lady Irene at the immigration office, and then we follow a few chapters on her and what her life is like, and how Natasha changed her life, and how Natasha affected her life, which I really loved and I really enjoyed. It's such a beautiful story. It made me cry twice, one from sadness and once from happy tears. At the end I just bawled my eyes out because it was so beautiful. So if you haven't checked the story out, I really suggest you do. Even if you're not a big fan of contemporary romance, this is definitely a really good book to check out, because I absolutely adored it. Another book that I read is Final Girls by Riley Sager. I got this book from the library, so obviously I don't have a physical copy, but we follow the final girls. So 3 separate girls who survived these massacres have come together and tried to survive and live their life. So as one of these final girls ends up dead, we follow the other 2 girls as they try and figure out what's happened and try and understand. And I really enjoyed this. It's very good, and I did not see the twist at the end, and I absolutely love this story. This is my first Riley Sager book, and I'm really excited to pick up some more of his books, because this is absolutely amazing. I also read Legend by Marie Lu, and I read this because of Jenny from The Story Ain't Over. I'll link her channel down below. She is obsessed with this story. with this series, and she was ranting and raving about it, and she was so excited for the new book Rebel to come out this year, so I had to pick it up in my library. So we follow Day, and we also follow, what was her name? We follow two characters. One is determined to become this general in the army kind of thing, where she leads just like her brother, and Day is a criminal and he is wanted. And when our main character's brother ends up being murdered and Day is accused of killing the brother, it puts these two characters on the same path, where she's on a revenge mission to try and figure out what happened to her brother and avenge her brother's death. And we're following Day, who's trying to, like, I didn't do it kind of thing. So it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I read it at the start of the month, so I'm very hazy on the names and plot points and stuff, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I cannot recommend it enough. I'm going to be probably picking up the audio of Prodigy sometime soon, if I don't get it from the library. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading that one. And the last book that I get 5 stars is Every Heart in a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. Oh my god, I've seen this all over YouTube, and I picked it up on Scribd and listened to the audio. It was only 4 hours. I really, really enjoyed it. So it's a murder mystery fantasy kind of novel where there's a school for wayward children. And this school is for people who've been kicked out from their doorway. So these children were brought to fantastical, logical worlds